All right, guys, we're gonna drop off this little baby today. It's got to get some new strings on it. My strings are beat. I'll give you a quick show what they look like, but we're gonna get Spokane Valley Archery strings, and you'll get to hear Josh and his spiel and why Josh builds them in-house. It makes a lot of sense to me. I'll let him tell you more about it. Okay. There's a close-up of my beat-up string. ElkShape YouTube. My bow got some upgrades courtesy of Spokane Valley Archery. I got a naturally colored string on there with orange serving. I think it looks pretty good. Let me know what you think. But I want the man, the myth, MFJJ, to tell you why custom strings might be important.
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but for starters, a manufactured string, typically from any bow manufacturer, isn't going to be pre-stretched. It's going to be built under stress. A standard manufactured bowstring, like any brand, whether it be, Bowtech, for example, which is sitting in front of us, PSC, Bear, Matthews, etc. They're made with a decent amount of pressure against the string, but they're not stretched for an extended period of time, so they don't sit with that pressure on them for a half hour, hour on end. Normally, a good custom set of strings usually has been pre-stretched and pre-loaded. Ours, for example, sit for a minimum of an hour before we ever put serving on it. And what I mean by that is in here, there's 24 strands of fiber. Okay, so that means it's one long piece wrapped around in a circle basically 24 times. And then we serve the end piece here, we wrap it and stretch it, put tension on it, hold it at 350 pounds of pressure. So what that does is gets any creep that would naturally be in there out, and it also takes the wax that's in the string and helps push it to the outside of it because of the pressure. And the material we use specifically now is 454 with what they call low wax, which they don't go in and wax the string ahead of time. And what that means is it's not in there when we serve it. Whenever you have a standard waxed string, under here it's going to squeak out as soon as you try to put this material on here, the serving. And normally it won't really happen until it gets really hot. So when you take it out on a warm sunny day in July, getting ready for hunting season, and it's 90 degrees outside, 100 degrees outside, your bow starts changing for some reason. Well, the wax that's under here got warm enough that it turned to a liquid state and worked its way out to the serving. If you started with a material that's low wax, it wouldn't be under there to begin with. Then you just have to wax the string when you're done to make sure it's got at least a decent layer of protectant on it. But wax adding to a string over time actually makes the string vary. It makes it shoot a different velocity. So you can go in and wax up your string and go out and shoot it and it won't hit in the exact same spot. So personally, I try not to wax my string unless it looks really pilly. If it's starting to fray and get fuzzy, and then I wax it at that point. But outside of that, I don't. And then I really prefer to use the natural fiber now. And the largest reason I recommend that is because it doesn't have any pigment in it, which means it hasn't been changed from its initial state. All the fibers, whether it be green, orange, purple, whatever, black, even white, pure white, has a pigment to it. It has a dye in it that has wax in it. So you're impregnating more wax into the string, and you're technically weakening the fiber by changing it from its initial state. This material is the color of the fiber to start. Before they do anything to it, this is the actual stuff. So if you stick with natural, you've basically taken the strongest material you can get out of that line, be it 452X, 454, Dyneema, whatever you want. Every type of material out there, every brand out there, natural fiber is non-pregnated string. So it's the most durable you can get. So if you want to add accent of color, put it in your serving, which doesn't really change the serving's durability, but the part that takes the most abuse is the strongest material you can have at that point. So that's really why we're preferring to do natural with the colored strings now.
Yeah, man, and one of the most popular, highly debated questions we get is custom strings versus factory strings. Is there a difference? Should people get custom strings?
If your string isn't stretched before you put serving on it, the string separates. So like a standard stock bow set, if you start shooting it, and you guys at home that are using a standard factory bowstring, for example, and put 1,000 shots through it, 2,000 shots in it, look at your servings down in here and up here, and tell me if you can see the fiber underneath it or not. If you can see the fiber underneath it, your string's stretched. If you can't, it may not have. But most factory strings, because they don't stretch them for an extended period of time before they put the serving on, it stretches as you use it. If you can stretch it out before you put the serving on and then serve it with that same pressure on it, it won't typically give anymore. If it does, it'll be a much, much smaller, minute amount. So any string manufacturer that's actually stretching your string for like an hour before it gets served is putting out a product that probably is not going to give at all. If you're starting to get products, even aftermarkets, even different name brands of stuff you're very familiar with, if you see serving separation in there, it wasn't fully stretched or the serving wasn't put on tight enough. One of the two.
Yeah, so in layman's terms, basically, as a mass-produced item, would they be...
It's not cost effective.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make thousands of strings a day, which some places are pumping out hundreds, if not thousands of strings a day, you can't stretch it for an hour. There's no money in that. You're not gonna walk into a warehouse that has 10,000 stretchers sitting there holding stuff at pressure. You're just not gonna. The only reason it's cost effective for us is because we don't have to stock a whole bunch of strings on the wall. We can use that money that we would spend into pre-built stuff, build it ourselves and build it per order. And because we're only making, 4 a day, what have you, it's more than adequate for the tools in which we have. It's not cost effective for a manufacturer, which is why I don't build and ship strings. It's because I can't make them at the same level. It's not possible.
Right, because the strings basically can't go straight from the stretcher to the bow.
To the bow.
And when that happens, there's some type of variance.
There is some type of variance. Plus, if you're making 20 a day, how many stretching bays do you need? Yeah. It's not cost effective. You can't do it. So I don't know of someone that's doing that. I don't know.
So you're basically controlling the variables. The string goes straight from the stretcher onto the bow. Mm-hmm. And then we have the least risk of string stretch, which changes tune.
Yeah. Which is also why we won't build you a string and ship it to you. You need the bow here to make sure everything's perfect and to know that it went out of the stretcher and directly on the bow, so there's no opportunity for that string to recompress to where you've got to shoot it out again.
How many shops are building strings now? Is that common?
A lot more than ever. There's a lot, actually. I couldn't give you a number because I don't know, but I know of several that I'm friends with that I've done business with over the years, and we go to trade shows, things like that, and I'd say 1 out of 10 is probably making their own strings now. Because it's something you can control, and if you're only needing 2 or 3 a day, well, it's very feasible to be able to stretch a set of strings for an hour or two before you serve it, because you can build them up, put them in the stretcher, go do something else. Go work on another bow, come back an hour later, put the serving on. Not a big deal. You're trying to pump out 50 a day, you really can't do that. It's not feasible.
Cool, man. So if somebody wants to get your strings, can they do that?
100%, but you need to ship me your bow. And not only will we put the strings on, but we'll tune everything. We'll make sure everything's perfect before it goes back to you. So there are no variables. So we know that the product that you're getting is as good as we can possibly produce.
Cool. It's getting pretty close to September. Obviously, ElkShape's an elk hunting channel. Mm-hmm. What could they expect for like turnaround time? They got to ship you their bow. It's going to take a couple days.
Our build time right now is about 7-8 days on anything we've got, which is about as high as it ever gets for us, because our peak times are 1st of September, because our season's in Washington open then. So we are more behind now than we ever are, and we're at about 7 days. So it's about as far as it'll ever get.
All right, Josh, thanks for coming on, telling us about your strings. I'm excited to shoot these. I'll give you my amateur opinion, and it's just that. But from shooting factory strings to going to a custom string, and I've ran these for the last 3 seasons, the basic thing I feel is now when I come to the back wall, there's no stretch.
There's no give.
There's no give, yeah. What I used to feel before was the string would play, and now it gets back there and it's firm as a rock. And it's definitely my preference to shoot that way now.
You won't find very many professional archers that don't use a custom string. Just put it that way.
There's a reason for that, yeah. So we're basically with archery, we're trying to crush variants, and this is one thing that...
It's the biggest variant you got, actually.
Yeah.
Your bowstring is going to create more variable change than any other product on your bow. So it's pretty important.
All right, man. Easy sales pitch. If you guys want to support Josh, we'll have his link below. Thank you for watching. We appreciate his efforts on this channel. If you have any more questions for him, pop them below in the comments. We like making videos.